Do you want to listen to lectures without having your phone on? Get the One Islam TV app today, available on these platforms.
I'm grateful to Allah Azza wa Jal.
Who is Dhul-Qarnayn? Allah says, إِنَّا مَكَّنَّا لَهُ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَآتَيْنَاهُ مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ سَبَبًا. Indeed, we gave him power in this earth. Makkanna, we gave him power. He could have control, meaning he was a type of king. And we gave him a path wherever he wanted to go, meaning he had an army, he was able to go to any land he wanted to go. Some scholars have said that Dhul-Qarnayn was a prophet. But when you look at the story, and you look at this ayah, it doesn't look like it. Because when Allah describes Khadir, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we gave him a knowledge from us. That is prophethood. When Allah describes Dhul-Qarnayn, He says we gave him power. And power is something Allah gives to righteous and unrighteous people. And if you look at the story, there's nothing that Dhul-Qarnayn did that really stands out as being something a prophet only could do. And so the majority position is that Dhul-Qarnayn was a righteous king. Dhul-Qarnayn was a good man. As Ibn Abbas said, he was rajulun salih. He was a righteous man whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given power to, a type of kingdom to. And the story, Dhul-Qarnayn, Dhul-Qarnayn is not his name, Dhul-Qarnayn is his title. And Qarn means horn. So Dhul-Qarnayn, the one of the two horns. The one of the two horns. Why is he called Dhul-Qarnayn? Many are the stories given. Some have said he was the only person to rule over both Persia and Rome. So each of them is a Qarn, so they're Dhul-Qarnayn. Right, this is one opinion. So he's a mighty king that maybe sometime he controlled both of these lands. Another have said that Dhul-Qarnayn is called Dhul-Qarnayn because he would have his hair tied up in two, if you like, ponytails, if you like. And each one in the Arabs, they call a tail of the hair, they call it a qarn. So Dhul-Qarnayn, he has these two ponytails. Maybe in some cultures, they had the men have this, so he's called Dhul-Qarnayn. And others have given other stories as well that he controls the east and the west. And in reality, we do not know. Also, there is this Islamic legend that is very popular that Dhul-Qarnayn is somehow Alexander the Great. And the fact of the matter is that there is not a shred of Islamic or historical evidence that links Alexander the Great with Dhul-Qarnayn. In fact, quite the contrary, there's a number of things that do not fit at all with Alexander the Great and Dhul-Qarnayn. The most important of them, Allah describes Dhul-Qarnayn as being a pious Muslim, a good man, as a rajul salih, as Ibn Abbas said. And we know historically beyond a shadow of a doubt that Alexander the Great was a pagan idolater. He was an idol worshipper. His teacher was none other than Aristotle. Aristotle was the tutor of Alexander the Great. This is literally historically. Alexander the Great was tutored by Aristotle. And these people were not believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They believed in a pagan religion. So Alexander the Great has nothing to do with the story of Dhul-Qarnayn. Who was he then? Allahu A'lam. People, if you look at the books of tafsir, they give all of these stories, and really in the end of the day, these are simply Islamic legends. There's no shred of evidence in the Quran and Sunnah, and the more details we go into that are unnecessary, the more trouble we put ourselves into. Let's stick with the Quranic story and don't go too much into the details that Allah did not care to tell us about because they're not relevant. So Allah says we gave him power and we gave him a way to all places, meaning he had an army with him and he could march to any land that he wanted to. He had the qudra to go wherever he wanted to go. So فَأَتْبَعَ سَبَبًا. His army goes and follows away. They're going and following in one location. حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغَ مَغْرِبَ الشَّمْسِ. When he reached the setting place of the sun, meaning he reached the westernmost lands imaginable. And some have said this is China, some have said Samarkand, some have said Azerbaijan, whatever it might be, he reached some type of lands. Allah knows where the sun sets, very far in the lands. حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغَ مَغْرِبَ الشَّمْسِ وَجَدَهَا تَغْرُبُ فِي عَيْنٍ حَمِئَةٍ. He found that the sun was setting in, there's two recitations here. Ayn hami'a means cloudy water, and then there's another qira'ah, ayn hamiya, boiling hot water, and both of these are valid. So it was a strange type of lake. It was not a regular lake. It was a lake that was muddy and very hot, and some have said this might be lava or something of this nature. Allah knows best. It was something different rather than regular water. It's something different. Ayn hami'a. وَوَجَدَ عِنْدَهَا قَوْمًا. And he found over there a group of people. قُلْنَا يَا ذَا الْقَرْنَيْنِ. We said, O Dhul-Qarnayn. Now, somebody can say, Allah is saying he is speaking to Dhul-Qarnayn. This means Dhul-Qarnayn must be a prophet. And the response is no. The phrasing does not necessarily indicate this. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can speak in different ways. Direct speech, you become a prophet. Indirect speech in Arabic is called ilham. And ilham is given to non-prophets. One example of ilham is the mother of Musa. Musa's mother is not a prophetess. She's not a prophet. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her ilham that she should do this to Musa, and that is to put him in the little, if you like, cradle or the ship that was made by hay and the basket, and to throw it into the river. Where did she get this from? Right? Allah says we told her, meaning how? Through ilham. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says we said to the mountains don't become prophets. Allah says we said to the bees don't become prophets. So speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only makes the recipient a prophet when that speech is direct, when it is heard, a direct speech from behind a curtain or revealed through an angel. As for indirect speech, which is called ilham, this does not make someone a prophet. So this could be ilham, and there's references in the Quran to this. So we said through ilham, O Dhul-Qarnayn, you have two options, meaning it came to Dhul-Qarnayn's mind, I have so much power, what can I do with these people? I can either punish them or I can be good to them. And this is what every king, when they conquer a new nation, they have this option. So Allah is demonstrating what is the nature of Dhul-Qarnayn. He had the option of massacring, of killing, of being harsh, and the option of being good. So what did he do? Dhul-Qarnayn said, قال أما من ظلم فسوف نعذبه ثم يرد إلى ربه فيعذبه عذابا نكرا. Whoever has done wrong, if he is a criminal, a murderer, a rapist, this person, we will punish him and we will give him what is due to him, and then Allah will punish him even more in the next life. وأما من آمن وعمل صالحا. But whoever believes and does good, فله جزاء الحسنى. He shall have the ultimate reward, which means of course Jannah. وسنقول له من أمرنا يسرا. And as for us, we will be gentle and easy with him. Now this is the sign of a just and a true ruler, that you're strict with the criminals and you are gentle with the good people. So there's three stories of Dhul-Qarnayn, three people that he met. The first incident demonstrates for us the nature of Dhul-Qarnayn, that Dhul-Qarnayn was a righteous king, that the power did not corrupt him, that the power did not get to his head. He had the option of enslaving, of killing, of looting, of plundering, and he had the option of being generous and good, and he chose the option of being a good king. And that was, those who do wrong will be punished and Allah will punish them even more, and those who are good, we will reward them. So this shows us the nature of Dhul-Qarnayn. ثم أتبع سببا. Then he followed another road. حتى إذا بلغ مطلع الشمس. Now he found the sun rising. So this is some land in the east. He found the sun rising. ووجدها تطلع على قوم لم نجعل لهم من دونها سترا. He found that this group had nothing to protect them from the sun. Some have said this means that they did not know how to build buildings. They were still living in the open, and they were just using the trees as shade. Others have said this means that they were a group that didn't wear clothes. So Allah is just using a kinaya or a reference, an indirect reference here, that they were a group of people that were so uncivilized they did not even wear clothes. And this is also plausible. We didn't make a sitr, and because Allah says in the Quran, we were the ones who have revealed a garment for you, that Allah says, we have sent down libas for you to cover yourselves. So here is a group, they don't have that libas. So Allah says, كَذَلِكَ وَقَدْ أَحَطْنَا بِمَا لَدَيْهِ خُبْرًا. Thus indeed was the case, and we encompassed all that he had in knowledge. Now, the purpose of this is to really lay the foundations for the third story, the final story of Dhul-Qarnayn, and this is a rather long story. I'll just begin it today and we'll continue tomorrow. ثُمَّ أَتْبَعَ سَبَبًا. Then he followed all along in another way, حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغَ بَيْنَ السَّدَّيْنِ. Until finally he found a passageway between two mountains. The Sad are two mountains, and he found there a group of people. They could not speak to him. لا يكادون يفقهون قولا. What this means is they were cut off from all civilization, because every civilization has a translator, has an interpreter. Every civilization you go to, you will find somebody who speaks your language if the civilizations interact. Only if you go to a civilization that is cut off, If you go to, they just discovered a tribe in the jungles of Brazil, right? There's not going to be any translator for the language of that tribe. So Allah is indicating that Dhul-Qarnayn went to a far away land, cut off from human civilization, cut off from contact with other groups of human beings. They couldn't even communicate. And this is the height of being cut off from other civilizations. So they communicated through other than speech. And they communicated through their hands. So they said, which is, everybody can do this. You can always communicate basic stuff, images and whatnot. So they said to Dhul-Qarnayn that Ya'juj and Ma'juj are causing a lot of evil on this earth. So this means that this tribe and Ya'juj and Ma'juj were interacting with one another. And Ya'juj and Ma'juj, some have said, were related to this tribe. So Ya'juj and Ma'juj are causing evil. They are plundering, they are killing us, they're raping, they're causing our damage, they're causing much evil in the land. So if we pay you, you are such a mighty king, you have this vast army, you clearly are from a superior civilization, you seem to be a good man because you're so nice to us. Take this money and protect us from Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Can you build a wall between us and them? They come through this valley. Build a wall. نَجْعَلَ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَهُمْ سَدًّا. And a sadd is like a barrier, a dam. So Dhul-Qarnayn says, قَالَ مَا مَكَّنِّي فِيهِ رَبِّي خَيْرٌ. Whatever Allah has given me is better than your money. I don't need your money. I don't need your money. I will do it fi sabilillahi ta'ala. I will do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what I need from you, فَأَعِنُونِي بِقُوَّةٍ. You help me with your manpower. I need a lot of help for what I'm about to do. My army won't suffice me. You help me with your physical strength. فَأَعِنُونِي بِقُوَّةٍ. I don't need your money. I don't need your gifts. You come and work with my army. فَأَعِنُونِي بِقُوَّةٍ أَجْعَلْ بَيْنَكُمْ وَبَيْنَهُمْ رَدَمًا. I will make a radam. Now in Arabic, the word radam is very similar to sadd, but radam is a more fortified sadd. So look, they asked for, build a sadd between us and them. Right? بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَهُمْ سَدًّا. Dhul-Qarnayn said, I will build something even better. I will build a radam. And a radam, there is no English equivalent, but it's like a fortified dam. It's like a barrier that has been fortified. So Dhul-Qarnayn said, I will do something even better than this. So Dhul-Qarnayn says, آتوني زبر الحديد. Bring me pieces of iron or sheets of iron. Zubar is the nuggets, if you like, nuggets of iron. Bring me iron. حتى إذا ساوى بين الصدفين. When he had laid it between the two mountains. So he's building a type of barrier with iron, which is right now cold. قَالَ انْفُخُوا. He said, blow. And the blowing here is with the bellows, with the fire. So once he's put the iron there, a massive fire is being built. A fire that is so hot that all of this iron will become molten ore and stick together. So this is the help that he needs from these people. Allah knows how they built such a large fire. Allah knows what they did. But Dhul-Qarnayn had the technology to do that. قَالَ انْفُخُوا حَتَّى إِذَا جَعَلَهُ نَارًا. Until when he had made it fire, meaning when he had made the iron as hot as fire. Until the iron had become so hot it becomes ore. قَالَ آتُونِي أُفْرِغْ عَلَيْهِ قِطْرًا. He said, now bring me qitr, and qitr is molten copper. So the radam that he built, it is composed of iron and copper. It is composed of iron and copper, and it was so massive that it is between two mountains. So apparently the people of Ya'juj and Ma'juj were trapped inside an area where they had no escape out of. And Allah says in the Quran, فَمَا اسْطَاعُوا أَن يَظْهَرُوهُ وَمَا اسْتَطَاعُوا لَهُ نَقُبًا. They could neither climb over it, nor could they dig underneath it. This is really what it translates into. فَمَا اسْطَاعُوا أَن يَظْهَرُوهُ. They couldn't go on top of it. وَمَا اسْتَطَاعُوا لَهُ نَقْبًا. Nor could they dig a hole, nor could they go underneath it. Now, for those of you into a little bit of Arabic here, notice there's a difference between ista'u and istata'u, right? And in reality, ista' and istata'a is the exact same word. And it is allowed to simply cut off the ta in order to make the pronunciation easier. Like we say, cannot becomes can't, do not becomes don't. So we have in Arabic as well, we have hadf, we have the cutting off when things are a little bit difficult. So because there's a sin and a ta, and the ta is so difficult to pronounce between the two, so you can say to istata'a, ista'a. You're allowed to say this, right? Istata'a, you can say ista'a. Now, notice Allah uses both verbs, ista'a and istata'a. Even though they're exactly the same word. And there is an element of balagha here, and with this we'll have to pause and continue tomorrow. There's an element of balagha here, element of Quranic eloquence here, and that is زيادة الحروف في المبنى, having extra letters in the structure, تدل على زيادة الفعل. It shows an extra emphasis on the verb. Right? When you have more letters, this is a rule of Arabic, when you have more letters, there's an emphasis on the verb. So, which one is more difficult? Climbing over or digging through and breaking through a molten barrier? Obviously, breaking through, trying to dig through the barrier is more difficult than climbing over. So, the easier of the two, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَمَا اسْطَاعُوا. And the more difficult, وَمَا اسْتَطَاعُوا. And the reason why the both verbs are different, one of the scholars has said, is so that the listener does not become irritated or tired of the same verb using twice in the same sentence. Put a little bit of difference so that the listener can appreciate that the same verb is being used, but it doesn't sound the same. So there's no malal, or there's no boredom, or there's no repetition, because repetition, nobody likes it. Repetition, generally speaking, is not of the best thing to do. So by bringing the same verb, but using both different structures, ista'a and istata'a, and then using istata'a for the one that requires more emphasis, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings more eloquence to the ears of the listener. فَمَا اسْطَاعُوا أَنْ يَظْهَرُوهُ وَمَا اسْتَطَاعُوا لَهُ نَقْبًا. And then Dhul-Qarnayn said, قَالَ هَذَا رَحْمَةٌ مِّن رَبِّي. This is a mercy from my Lord. And according to one interpreter, he actually fell into sajda, thanking Allah that he was able to do this. So this shows us Dhul-Qarnayn realized how evil Ya'juj and Ma'juj are, and he thanked Allah for blocking them up.
Experience the power of uninterrupted viewing with our ad-free app One Islam TV, allowing you to connect deeply with the content. Explore the rich teachings of Islam and strengthen your faith through our regular new content. Download the One Islam TV app now.